If you only care about aesthetics and nothing else, then this channel may not be for you. The truth, though, is that we can make an absolutely stunning garden with native plants. We also don't have to remove all of our non-native plants either. Formal gardens are also possible with native plants, but I personally prefer to allow a little bit of mess. The wildlife needs some of that debris that we see as messy or cluttered. I get it. We've been conditioned to clean up the garden in the fall, but I want to explain why we should do less of that tidying and more of nothing. That's right, I'm advocating for you to be a lazy gardener this fall. Sort of. I'm going to go over what you definitely should do this fall if you have time and what you should leave off that honey-do list. First, let's talk about what you should not do. Please do not remove the leaves off your property. But if for some reason you have no other choice, give them to a wildlife gardener nearest you who will not chop up those leaves. That's right, you should not be chopping or mulching up your leaves. The reason you shouldn't is because moths and other insects overwinter in those leaves, and unfortunately, they blend right in and cannot easily be seen or removed and protected. If you mulch those leaves, you're risking chopping up all those overwintering insects too. So if you absolutely have to remove your leaves from your property, please give them to a wildlife gardener who is not going to mulch them. Also, please be delicate with the leaves that you do move around your yard or transfer to your friend. I understand the process won't be perfect, but now that you know what those precious leaves contain, it might help you be mindful during the process. Luna moths, for example, look just like a dead leaf when they're overwintering in a cocoon. Exactly like a dead leaf, people. The best option, however, is to leave the leaves exactly where they lay unless they're on a hardscape or in your gutters. Things like that. If they're on your driveway or patio, please sweep them gently to your yard or garden beds. If you're on this channel, you may be wanting to remove your lawn or reduce it. This is a great opportunity to use the leaves to your advantage. Gently sweep the leaves from your driveway or other hardscape over to the area of lawn that you want to remove to create garden space. The leaves will break down over the seasons, and if you put a large enough pile there, it can reduce the grass and you'll have an easier time creating a new garden space in the spring. It most likely won't kill all that grass, but it sure does make it more bare and easier to remove the remaining weakened plant material once spring arrives. Again, you need a deep layer for this usually. If you love having a bit of lawn, you can gently rake the leaves off your lawn and push them over to your garden beds you already have established. This was my mulching method for many years when I first started gardening and I still had lots of empty space between my plants. It worked great, and in the spring or early summer when I was ready to move plants around or to plant new natives or sow new seeds, I simply needed to push the leaves out of the way to do so. Lots less spring weeds to remove and less Bermuda grass to fight with. And please, for the love of wildlife and other humans everywhere, do not use a leaf blower, especially for your entire property. It's noise pollution, air pollution, and can harm the wildlife that lives in the leaves. If you absolutely have to use one, only use it to clean up your hardscape and do not use it on the rest of your property. But it's best to not use them at all if you can possibly help it. The next thing you should not do is you should not prune all your seed heads off, nor your plant stems. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it at all, but limit yourself to only pruning off seed heads that you want to harvest for seed saving or for seed sharing. I like to let my natives naturally self-sow, but I still harvest some seeds every year so I can not only grow more myself, but so I can share with friends. The next thing is please refrain from spraying any insecticides ever, but especially refrain from it now and in the fall. The frost is not far away, and maybe we can all just hold tight and wait for the cold to arrive, rather than grab the insecticides and going and spraying the wasp nests. I know the wasps and hornets are annoying right now sometimes, but please wait for Mother Nature to take care of them. It won't be long now. Insecticides are extremely harmful for all the insects in the garden and not just wasps. So when you're spraying these wasp nests, in ground or otherwise, you can unknowingly be killing very important pollinators as they are ending the season. For example, monarchs, as they are going back to the south, they could be coming through and you could be unknowingly killing them by using insecticides right now. so it's just best to just leave it alone. Frost will arrive so soon. These wasps and hornets are mostly all going to die shortly. Only the new queens survive in most of these colonies, and the reason the colonies are so annoying right now is they are just desperate for food. Imagine what it must be like to be starving and trying so hard to find food and knowing you'll soon die a very brutal death by Mother Earth's cold hands. I still jump and squeal sometimes when they decide to, quote, kiss my leg, seeing if I could be a meal, but just remember that they're just looking for food and water. Be careful not to swat at them and give their nests a good respectful distance and you should be okay. The good news is that as it cools down, we will also have more layers and long sleeves too, which helps give me peace of mind. I notice the wasps normally follow me around when I water something or fill up the bird bath. They are desperate for the water and any other leftovers they can get. I saw this firsthand when some yellow jackets came to check out the leftover guts from a caterpillar that a bird had killed. They seemed to be looking for easy meals. The next thing you don't really want to do in fall is plant warm season grasses. Warm season grasses are better planted or sowed in the warm season. Think late spring or early summer, or maybe a little bit sooner if you're further south. They do not germinate until the soil reaches the warmer temps, usually somewhere between 55 and 75 degrees. However, fall is a fantastic time to go to native gardens and look at the warm season native grasses there, if they've been left to go to seed, so you can visualize how they look in the fall. Native grasses are often one of the most beautiful elements in a fall garden, second to the trees coloring up. And if you have these types of grasses in your garden already, another don't in this list of do's and don'ts would be to not cut your grasses down. Leave them up for winter interest as well as habitat for wildlife for the winter. The next thing you shouldn't do is you should not burn plastics and other harmful items. Okay, you shouldn't do that any time, but bonfire season is coming and I want you to know that it's very harmful for you, your loved ones, and wild creatures when you burn things that you shouldn't be burning. It also would be nice if you check with your local bylaws and see what you can and can't burn in your area and check the burn times. There may be burn bans in place or there may not be. You need to check these things. We don't want any tragedies because of improper burning or simply burning in too dry of weather. What is cool is controlled burning done by professionals at the times that are appropriate. Some habitats need fire to be properly maintained. These fires should be done by people who know what they're doing. There are many rules involved and should only be done the correct way. Okay, so it's time for what you should do in the garden in autumn. This is the perfect season for planting trees and shrubs. Almost all native trees and shrubs will be happiest if planted in fall and planted the correct way. Go to your local native plant nursery and see what trees and shrubs they have available. You'll want to prioritize keystone species if you're just starting your garden, as these species will provide you with the most food for the most wildlife. But if you already have some keystone trees or shrubs, you could look for specialist plants. Ask your native plant nursery what types of plants that they have that will fit this characteristic. The third thing to look at is fall color for aesthetics. Why not try and get a variety of different fall color specimen plants so you can have a very colorful autumn garden that you can enjoy year after year. This will enable you to continue the color show all the way until all the leaves have fallen off all the plants, and even beyond that for a bit, since the colorful leaves that do fall will then be in your garden beds, continuing to provide beauty until they brown up. And of course, if you're like me, you may also want to find plants that are specific to the exact species of wildlife that you want to attract. For example, I wanted to attract eastern tiger swallowtail butterflies, so I bought several black cherry trees and American plum shrubs. These are in the Prunus genus and provide food not only for the eastern tiger swallowtail, but also provide food for at least 300 other species of Lepidoptera. They are a keystone species in my region. Fall might also be a great time to plan out what you want to do next in your garden. Maybe fall can give you an idea of what you want to plant in the future, and you can start to sketch ideas and plans on paper. Look at your fall garden and see what autumn leaf colors you seem to be missing. I personally love to see a large variety of fall colors on my garden plants if possible. Another great thing you could do in fall is to create brush piles in your yard. Find an area of your garden that is more private and start stacking some branches that are lying around or ones that you prune off if that is part of your fall plans. For example, I like to coppice box elders to use them as more of a shrub than a tree, so I like to cut them down to the base in autumn after the leaves have fallen off of them. I can then use these branches to create new brush piles around the garden, or I can simply add them to my existing brush pile. Brush piles are vital habitat for many species of wildlife, and your garden is better if you include at least one brush pile somewhere. I've seen lizards use brush piles with my own eyes in my own garden, but I'm sure other creatures use them as well. When I was a kid, I noticed rabbits liked to nest under brush piles. Think about what a forest is like. Think about the twigs, branches, and leaves, and how they accumulate here and there in a forest environment. Maybe try to mimic that feeling in your backyard and in your more secluded garden areas. I personally like to have a brush pile behind my garage, which is the most isolated private part of my garden and is also where I keep my compost pile. Another fun activity for fall is creating garden arches with branches and vines. You can go around pruning or killing invasive plants, for example, and use the plant material to create garden arches. You'll want to anchor everything in concrete for safety and durability, but keep in mind that even when doing so, it's a natural arch, so in the future it will rot away and you'll need to replace it. Different wood lasts different amounts of time. I've had my garden arch since 2018, right at the end of 2018, and I added to it a few years after. It's made of box elder trees, grapevines, and crepe myrtle branches. It's currently still standing today, but definitely gets eaten by insects and will rot eventually. These archways create beautiful entrances to different areas of the garden and give the space more dimension and mystery. I hope to add several more throughout the years as I love the process and the results. I grow vines on mine, but you could do what you think would look the most beautiful for your garden. I think they're pretty even if they're just bare and have nothing growing on them, but of course I personally prefer to grow something on them. And I find that in the winter when they don't have anything on them, they're still beautiful, and so it's nice to see that transition of in the winter they're bare, but you can see the bare bones and you can see the structure, so the more creative you get with them, the prettier they're going to look in the winter. And then as spring and summer come in and the vines start actually growing from the ground and growing up the archways, it just adds to the beauty. And so they're beautiful year-round, depending on how creative you get and how many branches you put on it. I think, for the most part, the more branches you put on them, the more beautiful they look, but that's my personal aesthetic. You may like them a little bit more thin, and it's really just up to your own creative mindset. It's all what you want to make of it, and I think that's what makes it so fun. But again, you want to concrete them in just so they're more stable and they're more sturdy, because if you just dig a hole and put them in, they're not going to stay up. I've tried that. It doesn't work. So you're going to want to concrete them in with a little post or maybe even the wood itself. I prefer to concrete them in with an actual like outdoor post, a small one, so that it doesn't show too much, but it's sturdy enough to where you can attach it to it. So we screwed our natural branches to an actual like skinny outdoor stake, like a stake that's meant to go outside, and we cemented that in. We basically took those outdoor stakes, we cemented those in, and then we screwed our wood to that, if I recall correctly. And so that's why it's stood up this whole time. Now, what's cool is there's also the option of creating live garden arches, and I think you could do that with willow, if I'm not mistaken. I think people grow willow in a way to where they can create a garden arch with it. Maybe do some research on that, because I think it's really cool, but I don't have experience with it, but it's really pretty when people do it. Just be careful, because willow, I've heard that the willow roots shouldn't be anywhere near your house, so just keep that in mind. You might want to do that only if you have a large property, and I have a very small property, So I don't really want to take the chance with willow. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Those are the fall gardening tips I have for you today. I hope it gave you some ideas. Thank you so much for watching. Bye guys! Hand-painted collector cards inspired by the creatures, plants, and objects in my garden. Available now at macylou.com. Thanks for supporting the channel and the wildlife habitat we create. To support the channel, like the video, comment, and subscribe. You can also support my work by buying art from me at macylou.com. Thanks for watching!